All right, welcome back to another episode of hashtag randomly with Ronnie Jr. But it also should be hashtag with Russell Raymond Silva. I actually don't know. Or
Hey.
how are you? Or it should be New York Housewives, the reboot, the new era. I don't know what we're calling it. I got to tell you, both of us have been working hard. Russell, you could agree, I'm sure. Um, it's just amazing we got
Just
here.
don't look at the bags under my eyes.
Oh my God, I
I'm gonna
want to
stay
drink a
my
water,
distance from the
but
camera.
I'm like, there's no time. As you know, we're excited. Actually, I won't say another word. Tell me what you think about the new era of New York Housewives. And I guess you could start by saying what you feel about the old era, or is it out with the old, in with the new? What are you thinking, Russ?
I think it's out with the old, in with the new. It's time to move forward. It's time to move on. We're in a new generation. We're in a new generation of Bravo fans. So, times are changing just in general. Everyone who originally started the Housewives of New York franchise has had their opportunity to capitalize, move on, move forward, and start their businesses. And now we have these new ladies, which I'm so excited about. I am 100% Ube, because her and I are like eye to eye. We're always hungry. We like to be a moment, and we could just care less and want to do whatever we want to do despite what everybody else must say.
You know what? Before we do this, because we're giving like a brief overview. Actually, I could let you know if you want to go to my channel. I mean, I've been putting in that work, which is probably why I'm so tired. Lots of episodes up there, so definitely please check that out. That would be awesome. But Russ, what I want to do with you is give me a note or two about what you thought about the initial premiere, which a lot of people seem to like. Then there was also other commentary like, oh, can this go forever? It being a nicer, funner, or quirkier show. So give me what you think of that. And then if you can, why don't we go through just like each of the people here? It's Brynn, it's Aaron, it's Jenna, it is Sai, and then Jessel and Uba. And just give me like what you're thinking overall of each of them.
Oh my gosh, the cast is so new. Like, I'm still getting their names together. Definitely Sai. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, my girl Marsha. Me and Marsha talk like all the time, right? So Marsha has been following Sai for a couple years, and she actually reached out to me today, and she goes, "Hey, did you know Sai is on the Real Housewives of New York?" And I was like, "Yes, girl. Like, get into it. Like, we got to have you on the show. Me and Ronnie are gonna cover this."
Right.
But Marsha, I believe, has sent me Sai's profile multiple times because she loves the way she dresses. She's an Instagram influencer. And this is probably the first time we're seeing a housewife that's actually on the show as an influencer. Just purely.
And can I add that is actually a little bit entertaining, because the last time, I mean, there's probably others, but the last time they brought on an influencer to Bravo, she had to be the world's worst Bravo celebrity. Do you know who I'm talking about? Do you have any clue?
No.
Oh my gosh. And it's so crazy because I always like, all things New York. Obviously, I'm in Washington Heights right now where things are humid. That's why I'm sweating. But Paige DeSorbo, who's gorgeous for sure, has really stunk up for mad seasons. Summer House. Like, she's not really ever been entertaining. So I got to say, while I love Sai, she's giving that Puerto Rican vibe. She's also giving great story. Like, okay, this is what it used to be. This is what it is. I was like so happy about her. Like, I was like, oh, totally knowing she's going to be that girl. But I still had a little bit of like, ooh, the influencer. Does an influencer really know how to always give good reality TV? Viral moments, yes. Reality TV, maybe not so much. So Paige DeSorbo, on 1 to 10, she gets a fail. And Sai is like a good A, almost an A+ with room to grow.
So. You know what? They did a good job with choosing Sai because of the way that she does stand out in this group.
Mm-hmm.
And Jenna Lyons is a little bit more reserved, which she's admitted to, but I do love her her openness about her autoimmune disorder and her honesty. Even because there is a whole crowd of individuals out there who can relate to something like that.
Right. And I thought it was good for her to be sharing those conversations, because one of the things people who love the show prior, you lose a lot of the seasoned, we'll call them, the over 40, over 50-year-old housewives. So having Jenna does make a lot of sense for that. So she's going to share just stuff that's personal. And I thought that was actually really good. Okay, so beyond that, we've got Jessel, Uba. You said you liked Uba, and Aaron and Brynn, which I believe are going to be the frenemies. Can I tell you why I think they're going to be the frenemies of the season?
Tell me.
Okay, so There he is, randomly Ronnie Jr. up on that. Watching that live. The icon that is Candy Burris was there. Also, so was Aaron. And then Andy is doing what he's doing, asking the questions and going to the virtual audience. And I'll have you know, as a side note, for After Buzzers, also that's where Russell and I first worked together. Thomas, or you know what I'm talking about, right? He was also a virtual audience member too. So, anyways, big.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Same episode. So, bear with me, but this was a little bit of a look of what went on and why, Russell. I'm thinking Bryn, who I want your opinion, and Aaron are going to be the frenemies. But let's take a look.
Yeah, like it's nothing for us to beef about.
Okay.
Like,
Here's Ronnie, also from LA, with a question for Aaron.
Hi. What's up, Andy? Candy, you are worldwide. Just letting everybody know.
Yeah, she knows.
Quick question for Aaron. Loving the season. Why do you think Bryn said on Watch What Happens Live that you couldn't be trusted? And where do you stand with her today?
I think she said that because of Cheesegate, because she felt like I was being disingenuous about the conversation, which I wasn't. It will all play out. We love each other, but we butt heads. And
all right.
It happens over and over again.
Thank you, virtual fans. Are you gratified by the response? Of course.
I am shocked. Yeah, I'm like overwhelmed with gratitude, really.
Yes.
just wait. I know that has to be tough having that type of comparison, but I feel like you guys are totally different.
Yeah, we are.
And both people can exist. Like both franchises.
Exactly. They're not going anywhere.
Thank you, Candy.
So,
yes, thank you. There's a reason she's worldwide.
Yeah.
I mean, two things I love about that. Come on, give me the yes all day.
Yes.
Worldwide Candy, number one, because Russell and myself, all the episodes we've done, and I'll let you know if you want to go to both of our channels, it is Real Housewives of New Jersey we've covered, Real Housewives of Miami we covered, now we're doing New York, and we both, I would say, dominate in the world of pop culture. So when we see somebody like Candy who's been in music, transitioned into almost getting her EGOT, transitioned into being a housewife. I mean, there's just not much she can't do, music and everything, songwriting and everything. So I had to show her the love. But what are your thoughts, Bryn and Aaron? Obviously, I'm taking a little liking to Aaron, but is it a frenemy or friend situation? What do you think, Russ?
No, I think they're friend situations because Bryn is like funny-go-lucky, lighthearted individual that just like probably could get away with murder. And Aaron would probably help her get away with murder.
Oh,
does that make sense? Because
I guess so.
Because like, look, I could 100% see this happening just because Bryn is so likable. You know, like it's just that scenario that's the perfect storm, and it's almost opposites attract. It reminds me of The Hills.
No, I'm going to co-sign. She really is likable. Like it's maybe a little over the top. I was kind of saying it's hard to kind of comprehend this now because now as a society, we've been a little bit more open with like body and voluptuousness or whatnot. But she's giving me 90s guest model / Playboy Anna Nicole Smith, even if she's not intending that. And I know she's saying that she's more like Elizabeth Taylor, but there's something there that is very va-va-voom in a really fun and kooky way or quirky way. Yeah.
That's funny that you would say that because she's giving me she was giving me very much like who can I pinpoint specifically?
Are you coming for someone or are we going to be nice this season?
No. I'm being nice. I actually adore this entire cast, and it's been a minute since I've actually adored an entire cast because you spend a lot of time in New York. I've spent a lot of time in New York. You've lived in New York. I'm there frequently. So I get to see the ins and outs and the avenues and those who work in the fashion industry, those who are on Broadway, those who are down to the nitty gritty working at the bodega. Like we understand the lifestyle of the New Yorkers. You know, we understand what it's like to get on the subway, to make it work, and all of it. The heat, the humidity, the coldness, like all of it, right? But Bryn is giving me, you said, who'd you say, Elizabeth Taylor?
Well, that's what she says, but I was referring back to Anna Nicole Smith, like Playboy guest model, and just this coming from a smaller town, but then once you get into the big city, you just kind of like play a caricature, and it's not even bad. Like Anna Nicole Smith is maybe not the best example, but that's what I remember, the gals of that era. And that's kind of what I see with Brynn. I don't know.
Look, I don't mean this as a dig, so don't take this as shade or tea, but she reminds me a lot of Alexis Nyers. I don't know if you remember the Bling Ring when that came out in early 2000, when Alexis Nyers and her sisters and some friends were accused of robbing Orlando Bloom's house. And Orlando Bloom was actually one of the first people to come after that whole Bling Ring and actually shut it down because of all the footage that he had, and he was actually willing to press forward with court documents. And she reminds me of Alexis Nyers, but she's just, there's something about her that's so fun and likable. Just her look and her
Why
persona.
am I saying Bava? She's giving me Bava Boom, and you're like, oh, the Bling Ring.
It's no, and
but
that's
it's
what I mean.
playful. It is
didn't
playful.
mean
You're
it-
right. Yeah, you
yeah,
are
I
right.
didn't mean the shade. I don't mean the shade by it, but I mean catch and see, because you already know what it is.
Yeah.
But there's a few people that she reminds me of. She actually gives me very Judy Garland. And she's giving me, I used to work side by side with this girl. She's a DJ now. Her name is Kayla Collins. She's an ex-Playboy model from also 2009 era. So it's just, like I said, it's just this new generation of housewives that we were kind of ready for. The last generation stepped out. So this is kind of just the new one stepping in. The people who originated starting to watch the franchises of Housewives, they're now kind of like almost aging out of the system, right? So those people being my mom started watching Housewives in her late 30s. Now, late 30s, very early 40s. No, late 30s. My mom started watching Housewives, and now my mom is entering her, later 50s, and she's transitioning into this new stage. So now you have me who's in my 30s, and it's like, yes, this next generation of Housewives of New York is speaking to me as an individual. As much as we love New Jersey, I feel like Jersey maybe has about 4 more good years as that cast.
Oh, wow.
It
Okay.
might have to get revamped.
Okay.
It's true. I love Melissa. I love Dolores. I love what they do in New Jersey, but everyone kind of ages out of a certain thing, and it's not to say that if you're older it's worse, but it's just a different generation, and now you're competing with new tides. So again, we have a social media influencer who now relates to Generation X. They don't relate to baby boomers. They don't relate to the generation before me. You're right in Gen X.
Respectfully, I'll always fight Russell when it comes to, I love my older Dorinda dressing of a certain age bracket vibe. I always will. But there's shit like on the thing, Watch What Happens Live, Candy said, like, they could all coexist. There's plenty of shows. There's plenty of opportunity. We are going to do this one super quick. Usually Russell and I have been known to do 2-hour episodes, but we're going to do this really quick. Russell, a couple thoughts I want you to get to. Tell me what you think about Sai being over the top with her wardrobe. Tell me about your excitement for the Hamptons. Tell me about what you thought of Jessel being maybe a little too many complaints for the gift that Jenna got, and anything else that jumps out to you on the episode. But wait 1 second. We have a word, and then we'll come back with that.
Well, hello there. Thank you for watching and supporting the show with my good friend, Randomly Ronnie Jr. Who the hell am I? Great question. My name is Mark Rodriguez with Mastermind Media, and I wanted to take just a moment of your time to let you know about all the other incredible things this guy, Randomly Ronnie Jr. has going on. But first, before we get into that, please comment, like, and subscribe. That is how he grows here on these channels. But one channel you probably don't know about is patreon.com/randomly Ronnie Jr., where he's got a bunch more exclusive content. So please check that out. But speaking of YouTube, let's go back to YouTube for a second. He's got this hashtag randomly with Ronnie Jr. and it shows all of his stuff in his days in radio from back in the day, all the way up to present day, and his new interviews, podcasts, just videos across the board. So please check that out, because when you think about content creators, there's millions of content creators, but there's only one, Randomly Ronnie Jr. Let's get back into the show.
And now listen, we always got a commercial ready. While I said I like the older Dorinda, this, and this, I also, my last thing on Bryn, I was trying to kind of come up with something that made sense relevant for today's era, because now we're just a different society. I mean, Twitter and OnlyFans, it's like a thing. But what I was going to say is Bryn gives me, like in the early 2000s, remember when there was a handful of girls that were like Maxim models? And it's kind of hard to really celebrate and advocate that now because, I mean, us as men and specifically gay men, it's like we show the love, but we don't know the plight of women or whatever. And I think this is just an affirming, fun, she's so liberated, Bryn, in terms of her flirting and her sexuality and stuff like that. So I just really, as much as like she might not even be my favorite, I still eat her up. Yeah. Did you miss her on this episode?
Giving fashion. Yeah. Oh yes, she was giving.
Really?
Episode 1, she was giving fashion. Look, I'm wearing a practically see-through baby.
She's ready for a close-up. She's ready for a close. Oh, you better.
High waist.
Not that I'm in the gym 7 days a week.
Yeah.
He would do a spin. He would do. Oops.
Catch it.
What is really going on? And by the way, just for if anybody doesn't realize, this would be, you got to go to our channels. This is what I'm telling you. If anyone was wondering if on our shows we go there, this was when we were talking about the Real Housewives of Miami and big old booty.
What else do we have? We have everyone getting ready for this big get together. Well, that was the get together. So that was like the fun side, or the nice
Adriana's butt.
Oh, tell me about Adriana's butt. Yes, we saw Adriana's butt. Boom, there it is.
You know what? Here's the thing. Look, I'm so tired of everybody getting fake butts. Just stop. Just stop. I mean, I get it. If you're like this, I get it. You want a little hey, little whoa, you know. Come on.
Well, I plan on getting the hey and the whoa. Hello, doctor.
You need a little hey, little whoa.
Yeah. Because I'm like this. I need the hey and the whoa.
Look, I've worked. Let me just show you. I worked very hard.
Oh, no, this one.
Hold on. I've worked very hard for what
Look at that dookie.
Here. Okay, thank you.
Not a live demonstration.
And it is possible. If I can do it, you can do it too.
I mean, the dookie booty of it all. Maybe are you the Bryn of our recaps?
Baby.
I think that's what's happening. Yeah.
Look,
I'm giving Aaron stoic, like, what's up? And you're the Bryn of the show.
Let me tell you, when I say get into it, I say get into it. Okay. When you said New York fashion, I'm gonna do this one more time just so y'all can see it. Hold on. Take it off the earphones.
Look at this. Is his way to make sure he gets the subscriptions on the YouTube, or maybe OnlyFans. Look at you do a little spin over there. Okay. If you're not checking out the video, you're only listening to the audio.
We are bringing it, and as soon as I put my headphones in, I can hear you again.
No, I'm just giving a play-by-play. Like, I mean, that's the thing about it, and it's good that you are finding ways to connect with these housewives, because the reality is both of our schedules are very busy. I work in radio. I've done a bunch of television experiences in my own life. Russell had just recently, when Peacock streaming started, he was on the Peacock streaming show, Create the Escape. So definitely, if you're loving Housewives, which you are because you're here, go to Peacock streaming and type in Create the Escape. And our very own Russell Ray Silva was a host on that show. So I love, my thing about our show and what we do in terms of covering, I love that we give duality. You know what I mean? Serious, funny. There's just not much we can't do. Okay.
There's not much we can't do. I'm giving you fashion today.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm giving full-figured, voluptuous sex appeal all day.
Yeah.
And I'm giving New York. I mean, I've been doing a lot of episodes recently on my podcast or whatever, and I'm over here in the humid, like Washington Heights streets, like
humid.
Whoo, like, let's get through it. Okay.
I'll be the next.
So you're talking about fashion. What is your thoughts on Sai being the most? I'll give you what I think quickly, and then you being more the fashion guy of the two. Okay. I think potentially she might not have been serving all the fashions, not in a bad way. It's just, it's a tough thing when you brand yourself as I'm this, and then we're all looking throughout the episode like, where'd they go? Can't have a fashion show without the fashions. And it's like, Sai, we love you. We live for you, honey, for sure. But that was maybe a thing. However, I think I figured out what the play was, Russell.
Tell me.
She was more like, I'm going to brand the absurdity and the ridiculousness of I am influencer. Because by the way, on the Watch What Happens Live, when all of them showed up, which doesn't hold a candle to the Watch What Happens Live that I was on, thank you.
Yes.
She had sort of been asked these not tough questions, but like, oh, what are your numbers like, this, and this? And to be honest, it looked like Sai has the check coming in pretty good, but her numbers aren't necessarily the hugest thing in the world. So I think that absurdity wasn't about her really getting into all of her fashion moods. I think it was more about her saying, I'm gonna let the world know this is how I get busy and make my money. I think that's what it was.
And you know what? She has no shame in her game because she mentioned it. You know, speaking of shame in the game, before I move forward with this, can we talk about the editing team for a minute and how they did not catch that the girls were riding in I'm trying to pull it up. I've been trying to pull it up for the past like 3 minutes. I'm trying to get the perfect shot. They were rolling up in a Cadillac.
I legit have no idea what you're talking about.
Cadillac ESV.
Oh,
there
hold
it
on.
is.
Close up. Wait a minute. Come on, production. Let's go.
Baby. Cadillac ESV.
I see.
Easily 2020, 2021. Easily. Okay. Now, the drive away shot as they're in the car heading to the Hamptons is wait for it.
Wait, so are you on like a continuity trip right here? Like, I don't, what's happening?
No, let's talk about the editing team. Just not, first of all, budget is there.
I get offended because I worked in post-production for America's Got Talent first sight. So I'm like, what's he about to say?
Budget
media, what's he about to say? Okay.
Budget is there. Budget is there to take your time and put out a nice episode when you're revamping something.
Okay, a slight argument. The intros have been stepped up. The visuals have been stepped up in terms of the B-roll and stuff like that. So maybe the budget was there. But anyways, let's see what you're talking about.
When I tell you this, you're going to be like,
I don't know.
How was that missed?
Yeah, how did we uncover this? There's so much in the episode.
What car do we say? Cadillac ESV 2019, 2020, 2021. Why is the rollaway shot on the freeway a Chevy Suburban 2009?
Because
what stock image is this? Because that's not even a Cadillac. That's not even a Cadillac. Those are actual rims. Those aren't the stock rims that are on that Cadillac that put them in that vehicle. Just saying. So I caught that right off the bat. And I was like,
footage. It was footage. That was probably a shot from when like maybe Sonia was like, I'm gonna take the jitney. Oh wait, hold on, I'm not gonna take the jitney this time. You know, just get me on the old car. That was maybe from a couple years ago. You can't hate on that, Russell.
No. As content creator, we are a new generation, and you know this TikTok generation was gonna find it. Even I was like, wait a minute. It caught me completely off guard because I thought to myself, how did the editing team not find it? How did the editing team not catch this? Like and here's the thing. Here's the thing. What bugged me about it is that if you're going to do something like that, make it be a quick shot. This was a lingering 32-second shot.
Okay, here's where I'm co-signing yes on you. But before, I gotta advocate for my 40 plus who don't really care about that like that. But yes, the generation that like lives for TikTok, yes. Where I will side with you is one simple thing. And you're going to love this because I typically don't care as much. If you were going to have, what was the name of the first vehicle?
A Cadillac ESV.
They did that shot super specifically to show a certain level of opulence that Jessel has.
Yes.
And I just even like the way she was in Brooklyn and she was like, this is back to episode 1. This is what we're talking about, right? Are we talking about episode 1? Oh,
no. This was today's episode.
Oh, episode 2.
On the way to the Hamptons.
So, okay, well, my principle still applies to this. If you're going to run a shot to showcase like the flyness, whether it's real or not, if you watch What Happens Live, they ask the question to Erin. They're like, oh, who's got the best house for like a resale value? And she's like, well, not all of them own them. So it's that constant narrative with housewives or even content creators or podcasters or radio people, whatever actors, that I don't do it. You know, I come as funky as it's going to be. I'm all the way real all the time, which is maybe why my career is in the toilet. But the point is, if you're going to flex or floss on any level, go for it. That's fine. But then you got to be able to connect it all the way through. And I think that's a version of what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm like,
yeah,
you're gonna, And that's the thing is, I wouldn't have not minded if they were in a Tahoe or a Suburban.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's like you're showing a Cadillac and then your stock shot is a 2008 2009 Chevy Suburban. That is over 10 years ago. We couldn't get a new shot. We couldn't just roll the camera.
And as I said, all of the wonderful B-roll off the top of the show has really given like authentic New York in so many different ways. And it's, they've obviously spent some time in post-production to really like make this look almost like Real Housewives of Dubai. They've really stepped it up. So if you're going to step it up, you got to kind of stay to that. Kind of like what we said about Sai. I live for Sai. Sai, like, she does feel like the girl that we already know. But if you're going to say I'm fashion, where's the fashions? It's like that whole thing. It's like if you say you're a thing or you're pushing forward with that, it has to connect. And I didn't think we were going to spend this much time on the vehicle, but Russell is watching this show.
When I tell you I'm into it and I'm here for it, and how I rep my Jersey girls. So the fact that I'm into New York for the first time in this has to be about 10 years at least.
Right. Yeah. Wait, not that long. Oh, see, I've been kind of still into them. It's been that long. So this group right here, it just changed the game for you. Can I say something that's a little behind the scenes? Because of our busy schedules, as I was telling you, we necessarily weren't going to do like a week by week coverage, Russell and myself, even though we did Jersey, even though we'll do Miami yet again. Those are those have been our wheelhouse, so to speak. When New York jumped across the screen, Russell gagged. He was like, I'm into it, which you don't got to tell me because, yes, me and Russell are both California boys for the most part. That's where we both grew up. But I spent collectively 7 years in New York. I'm here now. So you never really got to push randomly Ronnie for New York. I mean, even when I'm in New York now, I've told you part-time up at 94.7 The Block with Miss Jonesy in the morning. Yes. Like I always live for all things New York. And no one knew what we were going to get from this season. But I'm going to tell you, the way Russell was like, oh, we're going to do this. And honestly, I really like these girls. I really, really do. We don't have all the time. And you bring in the fashion. Yes. We don't have all the time in the world. The last topic I want to cover, just because of us identifying with just different levels of like the queer experience and, coming out and all of that stuff. I think Jenna Lyon's topic will do last. But tell me anything in this episode that really struck out to you. Probably Uba just being so quirky and fun is one of the things. And then I do want to know your thoughts on Jessel being a little bit, of a complainer. I actually love Jessel. I actually think she's going to be a odd, just interesting, low demeanor, thought process, very intriguing confessional queen. But do you think she was mean at the end?
No, I don't think she was mean at all. I think if you have a certain fit, if I'm wearing this right now, but if Marsha brings me an extra large tank top, that's this, I'm gonna be like, what, like, girl, what is this? Like, you've been around me, you know what size I am. You know what I mean? Like what? But then again, Marsha and I have several years of rapport. This group gets thrown together. They might know each other through the city, but now they're really going to get to know each other because they're filming together.
Right.
But Jessel, I felt bad for her this episode because I don't feel it's anybody's place to sex shame anyone. And, she was kind of reluctant to let out information about her sex life. And she just kind of brushed it out there. And the Lionesses just pounced on it. And they were trying to capitalize on it, which I don't think is all that well because you don't know what's really going into someone's sex life. You don't know what you don't know. And I think sex is very personal. And I think playing around with her, meaning like, if they were like, girl, you need some help. You need us to get you like some tips and things like that. And if they would have gone about it that way of like, hey, this is what we do to spice up our sex lives, or we've had kids, this is what we did to continue our sex lives and to break, the dry spell, because it is hard having kids and having an intimate relationship sexually. So had they said, these are the tips that we would suggest you that helped me, that can probably like maybe be able to help you, was one thing. But if it's like, you gotta go home and you gotta crack that thing open and you gotta get in the shower and you gotta get it done. It's like, wait a minute.
I'm about to say, well, while I hear you, you know it's coming when you slow it up and say, while I receive what you're saying, much like Jenna, I might be jaded at this point. And it was funny, just to kind of take you there. When I was the star of Watch What Happens Live on Sunday's episode, just kidding.
Worldwide candy.
You know, worldwide, randomly, Ronnie Jr. Let's go. Shout out to Aaron also. When I was, and I'm going to get to a point here in terms of the communication. I got together with some friends, my cousin, and we like, you know, watched and supported the show, even though it's just like a funny little thing, drinking wine and everything. And some of my best friends still, oh, bitch, you ain't shit. Like, it's just, while I understand, and this was much more of a serious topic, and I love that Jessel did download them on, like, it's not just the sex part, it's maybe the aspect of kids and being busy in this new life. And she even went into detail about, like, oh, I wasn't necessarily into him at the beginning, we moved in together. Like, there was a lot there, but the part that was the most impactful was that she shared, you know, the physicality of just, like, you know, and again, somebody who's gained and lost a lot of weight, like, I totally relate to that part of it. We'll never relate to it in the terms of a woman, but nonetheless, I thought it was great storytelling and something worthy to share. But in terms of the other girls, and again, I gotta, like, because now I'm gonna have a bias for Aaron, at least right now, or probably the whole season, like, they were just going in. Like I said, my friends were like, bitch, you ain't shit, you know, and I'm not shit. I ain't shit, you know, in terms of doing a little fun little thing. But that, to me, it's kind of like that concept. And, you know, you've heard it for years and years and years. If you're in New York, if you get the being razzed on and jokes or whatever, and like a lot of, you know, interesting humor, I think that's more in a loving space. Because to be honest, why it played on the TV, I can see what you're saying, that it looked a little like, yo, she probably didn't want to share that. You guys were pushing a little too hard. But in the, where I wouldn't fault them for all being, what you call it, putting her in the lion's den, is that in the moment they were probably like, ooh, you just got to get your pipes clean, or ooh, you at least got to have a vibrator. Like,
I can see that.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what makes this show so hard to film, because of that. So yeah, I mean, your points aren't bad at all.
That's my thing though. So like, if you're already, here's the reason why I feel like she was complaining a lot. I feel like she was complaining a lot because
you're speaking about Jessel.
Yes, I felt like she was on the defense. So not only was she already defending her sex life at the moment, but then it's like, this really was a drapery. She was draped in this. She was drowning in this fit, because if you look at Ube's outfit, her lingerie outfit, it really just kind of like it fell right off of the bus line. It almost looked like a red carpet dress that a lot of people would wear to the American Music Awards. Like, that was that style of slip that she was wearing. And then you have the other girls who are looking sexy in their two pieces, and then their fitted one pieces. And then you have Jessel, who gets, you know, it was very green. There was cute elements to it, but it was like, that was a nightie. That wasn't lingerie. That was a nightie, is what that was. Yeah. So I get it. She was already overwhelmed in the moment. So of course she's going to feel worse in something that she's not comfortable in, opposed to maybe if she wasn't on the defense as much, she would have been like, oh girl, this outfit is not it. This is not me. Maybe if we take it on the sides, I feel a little snatch and I can throw my shoulders forward, I might love it. But it's like, ooh. And also, you know, it was just a lot of things coming out.
The part that I defend her or like vibe with her is that, you know, maybe, and I think we all go through this, it's certainly different in the aspect of her with motherhood. We sometimes just, again, I can never get that per se, but it could have been the fact of you sometimes get triggered based on how you see yourself. And then maybe you've forgotten or haven't understood that things have changed. Motherhood is the most beautiful thing ever. She has the 2 kids. She's quite overwhelmed. She's obviously not even getting it on with her husband at the moment. So maybe her mindset, because even in the confessional, she's like, look at my social media. I think I'm like a cool, sexy girl. And it's like, where you want to be and your intention doesn't always give to the audience, not audience per se, but like to people. And so I think that's why it hurt her. I don't think she was in a malicious way of like, I'm going to complain and be annoying. I think, I don't know if that's ever happened to you, Russell, where it could be anything, your mannerisms, the way you think you're more confident than you are, and somebody hits you with the word. Like, there was a time maybe about 5 months ago where I felt like I was just in a hugely insane, confident space. But there was one particular thing that was falling through the cracks, and somebody called me on it, not to even be mean. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sad, you know? So you react in a way, you cry, you complain, you do something, because it's like the rug gets pulled under you. You're like, I didn't even think that's how I was rocking. Anyway, it'll be interesting. So before we do the last topic, which will be Jenna Lyons, I'm assuming we'll do that last. You just said you loved Uba. So there was so many quirky things she did, from the compass to I need to go to this grocery store.
Here's the thing.
What's the thing you love the most?
And it's funny because I relate to the compass thing, because
you do.
I don't do the compass thing, but my parents always stress the fact that you don't sit with your back facing. You don't sit with your back to the door. You sit facing the door of any restaurant. You never sit to your back from the door. You always sit facing the door. You always find the seat that faces the door.
And that's good feng shui in general. So yeah.
Yes. I get that. I get that with I don't know about the compass, baby, but I understand that. But what I also get is that when I show up to a party and you say that you are hosting and I'm going to be fed, if I show up to a Pringles chip with caviar, which I'm not against, but if I show up to that, your boy is going to go find a sandwich or a burger or something heavy that needs to fill me, because I like to eat. As you saw when we were in New York last, when we went with Marsha and we had margaritas, we had 2 pizzas and we had a side. Like, we are going to eat. I love food.
Yeah.
You're not going to not feed me.
My chubby ass eats all dainty, and Russell over here just like a monster. But he's in the gym all the time. Yeah. So
I'm like shoving my face, right? And I'm like, these poor Ube, like I felt for her, because I would have jumped in the car and I would have got food too.
You think they were putting extras on it? Like, oh, what's the food situation when we get there? I mean, I love the concept of, like, Aaron's like, well, calm down. We're going to go to Topping Rose. I thought that was a very cool. Can I read myself for filth in 1 second? I have to, and I'm going to do it so then you can feel sorry for me, not you, Russell, but like whoever, and then you could donate to my Patreon. Let me tell you something. If I'm going to dish it, I have to be able to take it as well, right? When I watch other punk ass YouTubers, podcasters, whatever, obviously I'm cut from a different cloth. Radio, 20 years experience. Hello, check the resume. It is thick, etc. But Russell, I gotta call myself out, and I don't think you can really see it, but if you see on the microphone here today, I get so opinionated on how garbage people are when they do their episode, and the logo of the microphone, which happens to be a Shure MV7, what I'm using, they have it upside down. I'm like, even if you mess up on your lighting, which happens all the time, even if you mess up on your wardrobe, or the AC ain't working and your humidity, like all the things. But what you need to not do, as you can see, hopefully you're not watching, my microphone is upside down. It still performs wonderfully. There's no issue there. But I'm the type, Russell, that if I see somebody else doing that, I'm like, you clown.
But that's because you and I were raised, or you and I were educated in the sense of, you do things, you fix your lighting, you set your microphone, you set your shot. Even like this curtain right here is bothering me because it's not even, and it's a very busy background. What I needed to do is square it up right here. Right. You know what I mean? Like this needs to be it.
And, because we are observant of things like the vehicle looking like this and then the cutaway shot looking like this, we got to call it out. So if we're going to give it, we got to take it. But here's where I'm going to maneuver it. And the show's going to end here in a second. I'm going to say, why don't you, whoever you is, hit that Patreon, patreon.com/randomly Ronnie Jr. So I have a little bit more bells and whistles to make it happen. And we don't got to run around like crazy people talking about, on the cell phone, like, oh, are you ready now? Can you record now? So that's just a funny little thing. I thought Uba was really wonderful and fantastic and fun. There's never a comparison, but you do always need the goofy, the unique. You don't expect anything out of her. You just don't even know what she's going to give, and it's going to be pretty silly. I like that. And I'm really willing to learn more about her personal story too. Okay. If I forgot anything, we'll get to that on another episode. But I just wanted to ask you what you thought of Jenna sharing the interesting stuff with her mother, the connection that they did not have, the evolvement in terms of what she learned about her mother towards, the end, and also the being outed. I couldn't really imagine that. I think when you take on a giant job like that, when she was running things at J. Crew, there may be an expectation to kind of know that with all the success comes a little bit more of a challenge in personal life, let's say. But where I felt really bad for her was that she stated this was all new to her. And Russell, like, yeah, we're excited now. We're, I would say, quite confident in both of our own skin.
Yeah.
But, and I didn't really know you when I was dealing with my coming out experience, but
yeah,
the friends that did, you saw the commercial that we did today. My friend Mark, I remember crying to, oh my gosh, this is such an emotional. And it's like, I just could not imagine her barely getting it and understanding. And then all of a sudden, like being pushed to the front of the room, like make a comment or not. It kind of broke my heart in a way. Am I being too sensitive?
No, I was outed.
You what?
I was outed live.
Now I'm one of your best
on
friends,
air.
and I have no idea of this.
Because I don't ever speak about it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's fine. Like, I was out to my immediate friends and my like immediate family. Like, I mean, like there was a handful of people, like my brother, my sisters, my mom knew, right? And then someone I went to junior high school with. Oh my God, like the pool's so small. I'm trying to think about who actually knew, right? So like this was before I knew you. One of my other friends that I worked with knew, and that was it. It was like a very small, it was a very kind of small, intimate group of people that knew and supported me. And I was trying to find my way as in like how I want to live my life and how I wanted to identify. And like, I knew how I wanted to identify, but like how I wanted to be perceived, because I wanted to be the truest form of myself. And I'm the type of person that likes to dig deep intellectually and say, this is part of me. This is part of me. This isn't necessarily part of me, but this is part of the LGBTQ community that I relate to. But I'm just different from that, and that's okay. We're all different, right? So I remember being excited, and I went live with someone, and this individual kind of had a personal vendetta against me, and I didn't see it until later on. But they pushed the envelope with me multiple times. Like Ronnie, today's Jennifer Lopez's birthday, by the way, because I'm about to bring her
that's
up.
right. Oh,
Happy
shout out
birthday,
to the
Jenny
queen.
from the block.
And what we always say
And we're covering
is,
New York.
though people will try to say, oh, she's this and she's that, and maybe she is stern. But by the way, if you're J-Lo, you might have to be stern.
Absolutely.
So I'll say it like this. Happy birthday, J-Lo. I did go see her Madison Square Garden concert for her 50th birthday when she was doing that little tour. And by the way, fun fact, I saw her twice that week because I was at the show where there was the Madison Square Garden blackout. So you would go see it Saturday, and then she popped back up on Sunday. So in reality, I've seen J-Lo in that experience quite a bit. But she is an icon. And if you ever watch the contents of randomly Ronnie Jr. and Russell Ray Silva, because you always need a little R&R, you should know that we live for the queen, Jennifer Lopez.
So going back to J-Lo, right? If anybody asked me until this day, what celebrity would you want to marry? Hands down, J-Lo. Like, hands down, J-Lo. Like, hard worker, beautiful, like, oh my gosh, just like everything that you would want in a spouse. I don't care if you're male or female, like that's everything you want in a spouse. And that's always been my answer. And this person did not like that answer and gave me the prerequisite of what celebrity would you marry. And this is actually kind of hard to talk about, but I'm going into it because this is authentic, right? So, and this relates to Jenna Lyons a lot. So
yeah.
What celebrity would you marry?
That's why I wasn't belittling it all at all. Because while we get into our pride moments, like when you really have to re-speak upon this stuff, it is tough. What'd you ask me?
Well, like this person had said, if you could marry any celebrity, who would it be? And right before I said my answer, they looked at me and said, and it can't be a female. It has to be a male because you're gay, right? And that was live. And I was like, I felt the rage inside of me. But then I also felt, I'm not ashamed of who I am, and I ain't afraid to go up against anybody. So let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
So then I chose the person, and then there was nothing to be said after that.
Yeah.
But I was like, how dare you, as an individual, come after me about something that you clearly knew that I was uncomfortable with speaking on camera, which on something we weren't even talking about in general. Like this had nothing, what we were covering
they were being
at
funny
the time
on purpose.
had nothing to do with sexuality at all.
Yeah.
And you came from me. So I understand where she came from. And I also understand the power dynamic of, okay, you want to call me and you want to ask me if I want to confirm? Yeah, let's confirm it and see what happens, right? Because I'm big and because you're not going to take me down regardless. And I feel the same way until this day. When that person challenged me, I was like, you're not going to take me down.
And I don't want to go in like such a tangent because this is like such a great topic we could do on another show. But as it relates to Jenna Lyons, it's like, yeah, on one hand, I just said part of becoming the president or whatever her gigantic role at J. Crew was is the risks that are associated with that. For my experience, it was like kind of like I was starting radio and I was like, climbing up the ladder in that world. And then it was like I got into that space too, where I was like, oh shoot, can somebody always pull the rug under me? And I'm not necessarily ready to talk about it now here today. So it's a level of, while everyone makes it so jokey, like, oh, it's an easy thing to get through, or come on, Jenna. I'm not saying anyone said this, but let's say they said, you really didn't know until you were 40. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she actually didn't. Because where the real challenge is once you associate your professionalism, I think it changes the way you want to, or the way you understand yourself. For instance, if I work just a 9-to-5 job, I guess it's probably not going to be wonderful either. It's always a challenge, but I don't necessarily have my name as a brand attached to what the work is. And so for me within radio, I said, wait a minute, the number one song right now is Booty, 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 Booty Rockin' Everywhere. It's all about, B's and HOESs. You think I'm really going to want to be like, oh yeah, but I want to bang Adam Rodriguez. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not going to work within the narrative. So that messed me up forever. And it turned me into a workhorse. I was a 9-day work week type of guy. I worked 9 days a week for like 7 years in a row. Now there's only 7, but I worked 9. Gained all the weight. It was a very dark and miserable experience, but coming out on the other side of that is beautiful. And a lot of my experience has to do with, then I lost all the weight, got down to 175 pounds after being 320 pounds, and all of it was connected. And I remember having to, and it sucks to even say, I took a break from my radio push. That's why when I do my channel now, and when I'm ever doing a radio or television thing, like the star that I am on, watch what happens live, virtual caller. No, anytime I do something now, it feels so good, Russell, because I know that experience of like not being strong enough to say like, this is what it is 100%. So her getting outed was very sad.
And you know what? Like Oprah Winfrey said,
she's better for it. Yeah, she's
but like
Oprah
Winfrey said, being outed was the best thing that ever happened to her because there was no secrets and there was nothing that can come after her. And I feel the same way about Jenna. I feel because she confirmed there was nothing that can come after her. And I feel the same way about the person who challenged me and wanted to out me on live. And I thought to myself, there's no shame now. There's nothing that you can do that is going to hurt me because I have no skeletons in the closet at this point.
One of my best experiences is one of my dear friends who lived in LA, and then she was more of an East Coast girl, so she moves back. I eventually moved to New York after losing all the weight. So I'm in New York as a young 31-year-old dipping and doing. And while I had already come out at around 27, 28, those first couple of years, I was still really quiet about it. And I remember we'd be in our group of friends here in New York as a new New Yorker. And I remember one time my dearest friend, she was like, oh yeah, it came up a conversation to this friend. And I was like, oh my God, I want to meet the people first. I don't want them to like know that I'm gay right off jump. And she's like, and not that she necessarily had any right to say this, but I definitely rock with what she said because she's a dear friend. And she goes, why would you not want people to know you? Like, how are they going to connect with you if they don't know you? Now, I took that as a sign of like, okay, I'm a Southern California boy who's always wanted to live in New York. So I live for this East Coast energy. But that was literally, I've never forgotten that. I'm like, that is so true. And we do it when we broadcast. We're like, oh, well, if we can keep a certain demeanor, not saying we do this, but potentially, if you could keep a certain demeanor, maybe you could be more mass appeal. Well, bitch, I want Adam Rodriguez.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
And so if that's more niche, that's what it's going to be. You know what I mean?
But I'll tell you why this is. It's because society will accept a certain type of gay if you fit this mold. It's like, oh my gosh, we love you, like you're our energy. But if you're a different type and you don't fit the mold that everyone else wants you to fit, you're ostracized and you're alienated, which I feel like is what maybe you dealt with a little bit, and it's what I dealt with a little bit. It's like, I don't fit this mold of what you want me to be. You know what I mean? Like I get there are things about me that I get talked down to all the time. Like, why do you like sports? Why did you were forced to play sports? No, I wasn't forced to play sports. I like to play sports. There's nothing wrong with that. And now we see all these athletes that are coming out, and it's like, hello, we've been here the whole time. You've just never given us a space to be able to be those individuals because it wasn't good enough for you. You didn't want us to be these individuals in this type of lifestyle. You didn't want us to be athletic. Society. It wasn't anybody. It wasn't our peers. It was society that was like, no, you can't be athletic and be gay at the same time. And now we have we have a coach that just came out, right? But getting off topic, relating to Jenna Lyons and her mom and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fact that she actually found someone in her life that was able to give her the love that she was seeking is a beautiful thing. I think when you have a relationship with your parents, it's a beautiful thing. I think if you don't have a relationship with your parents, I think that can be okay, but you have to be able to get to a point where if you're not going to have a relationship with them, you can, and I feel like Jenna got to this point, you can look at them with no animosity and no grudge and just no negative feelings towards them because you're in such a good place of you can accept them for who they are, whether or not they accept you for who you are. And I think that's when you know you're centered as an individual, is when you can look at someone and say, you know what, things weren't too bad between us. I actually appreciate what you were able to teach me. And I understand these were the obstacles that you were against, and you just did the best that you can do. And the things that I was seeking, I ended up finding them later in life, and that's okay too, because no one's perfect.
And the most beautiful thing is, even with the challenging stuff of what she shared that her mother suffered with and the lack of connection they had, all these things.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, sometimes that adversity is what makes you such a fierce, running J. Crew, like going from intern to, leveling up, each and every turn. And then now, being the entrepreneur that she is. Unfortunately, those things that we struggle and suffer with early on, sometimes it can't but help us charge out into the world being as good as we are. Maybe that's why Russell and I are the best YouTube Real Housewives of New York podcasters in the history of history. I'm just kidding. We might not be the best. But anyways, did you have any final thoughts? And by the way, I didn't mean to go on a tangent. So if anyone came for like Housewives here, if anyone came for Housewives and it was more like that Jenna topic really spoke to me. And many of the stuff that is, on the channel, while it's a lot of fluffy stuff, it's a lot of Melissa Gorga, to be honest with you, because she is the icon. There is some really serious conversations. When Russell and I did Real Housewives of Miami and Real Housewives of New Jersey, we try to infuse certain things that make sense on a personal level too. So we hope you enjoy it. Is that it for the episode? What do you think?
I think that's it for this episode. I think we're still learning a lot about these individuals, and they're, this is going to be a great cast and storyline. I don't think these cast members are going anywhere for at least 3 seasons. So I think this is great to learn more about them. I think it's great that you and I were able to deep dive into a conversation because we relate to someone of this new generation. You and I feel like this episode, you and I have connected on a deeper level to an individual castmate with our experience with Jenna Lyons than we've ever connected in any of the seasons that we've covered. So I think that speaks volumes as to what this revamp has done for this next generation that is going to be following Housewives.
And those are the storytellings that we enjoy. So it's one thing. This day and age, it's very quick and TikTok-y, just fast in 15 seconds. But to me, okay, Jenna Lyons is a boss. But now we want to know why. I love to see all that she's doing. I watched every episode of her HBO reality show. So I'm feeling her. But sometimes you have to know where it comes from. And, just to be honest with you, if you come from a certain cush life, you necessarily don't have the tenacity to do all of these bigger things. Russell's probably to be honest with you, and I'm just going to gas you up here because I know your work from Peacock Streaming's Create the Escape. I encourage everyone to go look at that. Peacock Streaming, Create the Escape. Go watch Russell. And of course, as I always say, go to both of our respective channels. Randomly, Ronnie Jr. is my stuff, and you can see his stuff as well. It's all linked together. But the thing is, based on whoever we are as people is why we're such a badass. And I'm willing as a friend to wager that maybe not in terms of numbers, because you are still coming up, but I'll say this with my whole chest. Russell and where his trajectory is, that's why we're lucky to have him on this channel now. He can, you're going to love this. You can go toe to toe with Mario Lopez any day. You see what I'm saying? And the world has said that I am moving in the space of like where Carson Daly is. Elvis Duran of Z100 is of course a huge icon as a gay man at pop New York City radio, and all the other experiences I have too. So like we're definitely moving and shaking. Yeah.
Oh, I 100% agree with you, and I'll tell you why. And I know we gotta go.
You agree that I said something about you being able to dominate Mario Lopez? Okay, got it.
Okay.
the arrogance of it all.
No, I'm going to tell you this. I learned about myself that I operate at such a high frequency of ideation of ideas, concepts, and things that I know I can get off the ground. I've understood that sometimes I operate at a higher level than what people who aren't willing to go outside of their bounds can understand. And I've understand that that's also been the biggest challenge in my life, is that I've always had these ideations and know that they can happen. It's all about finding the right person who can believe in it. And so I always knew that I was going to be on television and have a TV show, and I always knew that I was going to host. I just had to find the right person who can see it within me, because I was operating at such a high frequency. And the person that found me was executive producer Sue Side. And she said, we are going to get this kid on the show, get him on the show. And that's exactly what I did, as I was operating to the frequency of which I knew I was capable of, and the right person came along. So for anybody who's watching this, if you feel like you're operating and you're not fitting in the local community of where you're surrounded by, it's because those people aren't operating as at high of a frequency as you are.
So you can't relate.
Conform to their community.
Listen, if you going off that, and we are wrapping here, if you aren't meant to fit in, it's because you're a standout. Get it together. And just because, I always try to do like a little bit of a, hey, if you liked this conversation, you might like this one. A conversation that Russell and I did was about the transition between Ryan Seacrest coming off of the show, now live Kelly and Mark, and how much I love Mark Consuelo, side note. And Russell and I did an episode right here on my YouTube channel, which can be linked at randomlyronniejr.com. And what was interesting is, of course, that was the entry point, like just talking about talk shows, because of course we both love this work. And we went on these tangents that were all about like just, the dynamics that really go on to make you succeed at the highest level. So if you like a little bit of this conversation, and listen, next time we do an episode, it's going to be all that shady, like, oh, Uba said this and Sai's that girl, da-da-da-da. Bryn is, we'll make it more fun. But today there was a little bit of serious stuff. Okay, I'm going to end with the question. I already said Adam Rodriguez was my guy. I said Mark Anthony was my guy. I mean, there's tons of them. But listen, my question to you, Russell, and you don't have to answer now, maybe in the comments. Bryn is flirty, right? Yes. So who do you think, and on Watch What Happens Live, when she did her initial episode with everybody, they were like, who of the Bravo celebrities would you want to be potentially like see? She said Shep, which I was a little like, ooh. But nonetheless, that's her truth. Who do you think Bryn, it doesn't have to be a Bravo celebrity, just somebody that we know. Who do you think Bryn would be really good to date?
Oh my gosh, Maluma.
Wow, that came up so quickly. And reason being because of just the vibrancy that they both have?
Yes.
Okay.
The confidence that he exudes and the comfortability of who he is as an individual and the way that he projects his sexuality, including not being ashamed to have a feminine side.
Yeah, he's out there. He's like, let's go. Well, the man's got a piece. I mean, he's the tripod of it all. It's just like, if you're rolling like that, where you can't even walk down the street without, starting to like, you're on the right side of the street, but because that big old piece is just, pushing you to the left side of the street, you're just gonna be like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I like that. I really like Bryn and Maluma. Wow, that could be a thing. We're gonna have to get.
You heard it here first.
Bryn on
Exclusive.
the show. Yeah.
But I see that working. I see that working because they're both fun and playful, and they're both they have this like sexy kind of vibe going on, and I feel like they can play off of each other. So there's a lot that goes into it. I've been known to be a matchmaker. Bryn, hit me up.
And there's a thing of also not taking life too seriously, which is really cool. Last thing, Aaron's high-low with the Pringles. I mean, hey, listen, we love a high-low moment, but it was also really cool to hear Sai call it out or whatever. So I'm interested to see where those friendships go or whatnot.
Yes.
And the last thing, just since we're going through our stuff here, we just got to show love to, we did Real Housewives of Miami coverage. And then we had these moments where we were like, ah! And then Russell said, ah! We're just being silly. Last words, and then we're out of here, Russ.
Please come back, see us, let us know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Head over to randomlyronniejr.com. Head over to @RussellXRaymond. That's me, Russell Ray. And give us a follow, give us a like. Ronnie doesn't want you to DM him, but I do. So reach out.
Russell, I got to tell you off when we're done here, I did sign up for the old grinder and I have questions. So you're going to, this was literally like 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to offline talk with you in a second. So that means the show's got to go because we need to
go.
As Joan Rivers said, can we talk? Can we talk? We're out here. Later.
Hey, Ronnie Jr.